Hollywood was once hailed as the capital of dreams, where neon lights, red carpets illuminated every ambition for stardom. But the brighter the spotlight, the darker the scandals behind the curtain. There were starlets who planted hidden cameras in their colleagues' dressing rooms, then secretly sold compromising photos to tabloids to destroy their rivals. Some spread vicious rumors that a co-star had undergone a secret abortion, dragging the victim's career into a swamp of disgrace. And there were even legends who conspired with the mafia, sending threatening letters to their rivals' families, forcing them to abandon Hollywood in shame and silence. So, in the end, who were the most ruthless faces of that golden era? And did they ever pay the price for the cruelty they sowed? Or did they continue to shine boldly as if no shadow had ever trailed them? Let's uncover those secrets in today's video. 1. Marilyn Monroe, from the American dream to exploiting the Kennedy dynasty to crush her rivals. In the mid-1950s, Marilyn Monroe appeared as the embodiment of the American dream, enchanting the entire world. But behind the dazzling lights, she spread fear wherever she went. Paramount Studios, summer 1954. The cast and crew of There's No Business Like Show Business had been waiting since dawn. More than 150 people were exhausted by Monroe's deliberate 4-hour delay. When she finally arrived, draped in a white fur coat, the entire set froze. The crew's fatigue became nothing more than a backdrop for her display of power. Then came 1955 at MGM. Donald Murphy, a young newcomer who had just landed a role, suddenly collapsed right before filming after drinking a cocktail handed to him by Monroe herself. The role vanished overnight, and the vacancy was quickly filled by one of Monroe's close associates. Rumors that the cocktail had been spiked spread through the studio corridors, but not a single soul dared to speak up. Most controversial of all was her tangled connection with President John F. Kennedy and his brother Robert Kennedy. Secret parties at the Carlyle Hotel in New York were said to be where Monroe overheard sensitive political conversations. Journalist Dorothy Kilgallen once hinted in the New York Journal-American that Monroe knew more than the Secret Service. When she famously sang "Happy Birthday, Mr. President" at Madison Square Garden in 1962, the public saw pure seduction, but the political world interpreted it as a veiled public threat. Less than 3 months later, Monroe was found dead in her Brentwood home in Los Angeles. The press called it a suicide by sleeping pills. But conflicting medical reports, mysterious late-night phone calls with Robert Kennedy, and the sudden disappearance of her medical files from UCLA Medical Center fueled suspicion. Some believed she had been silenced for knowing too much. Her cold, enigmatic death only deepened her haunting image, a star both alluring and ruthless, leaving behind questions that have never been answered. And just as the world struggled to recover from Monroe's shocking end, Hollywood was shaken again, this time by another beauty, Elizabeth Taylor, who turned love, marriage, and even friendship into luxury commodities. To Elizabeth Taylor, turning friendship into tragedy by boldly stealing her best friend's husband. In May 1959, America was stunned when Elizabeth Taylor openly flaunted her romance with Eddie Fisher, the husband of her best friend, Debbie Reynolds. Life magazine even published photos of Taylor proudly showing off her diamond ring, her smile full of defiance. The scandal shattered their friendship and forced Reynolds to hold back tears while appearing on The Ed Sullivan Show, clinging to dignity in public. For Taylor, it was nothing less than a perfect PR stunt. But this was only the tip of the iceberg. Taylor had 8 marriages in total, and each was tied to power, money, or fame. Conrad Hilton, heir to the Hilton Hotel empire, gave her wealth. Mike Todd, the film producer, opened doors to business connections. Richard Burton, the celebrated actor, turned her into the centerpiece of every newspaper. And when those benefits ran dry, Taylor had no qualms about filing for divorce, leaving behind men broken in both spirit and finances. The press at the time dubbed her the Black Widow of Hollywood, a woman who drained the life out of her partners and moved on. After every divorce, Taylor re-emerged on the cover of Vanity Fair, flaunting bigger diamonds, flashier cars, and grander mansions. She turned marriage into a battlefield and men into stepping stones toward her throne as a goddess. But if Taylor sowed tragedy with love and diamonds, Judy Garland instilled fear with her psychological instability, casting a long, haunting shadow over an entire generation of her colleagues. 3. Judy Garland, a living nightmare of pills and violent outbursts. In 1939, Judy Garland sang "Somewhere Over the Rainbow" in The Wizard of Oz, becoming a childhood icon for millions. But behind the curtains at MGM, a cruel truth was unfolding. At just 14, she was forced to take sleeping pills to rest and amphetamines to stay awake for filming. Day after day, Judy was turned into a puppet, her very existence dependent on drugs. By the 1940s, the consequences were glaring. On the set of For Me and My Gal, 1942, Garland slapped makeup artist Jack Dawn across the face simply because his foundation wasn't bright enough. That same year, she grabbed co-star Conrad Veidt by the collar for the offense of looking her directly in the eyes. Such incidents drove colleagues off productions and destroyed careers, all because of one star's volatility. Garland's instability only deepened. At rehearsals, she smashed props and shouted, "Anyone who crosses me will disappear." Actress June Allyson recalled that just standing a few steps out of place could provoke Garland's furious tirades, leaving her in tears. Fear spread across MGM soundstages, with many whispering, "Working with Judy is like walking through a minefield." As her career faltered, Garland drowned herself in alcohol and stimulants. In her final years, shows were canceled, contracts lost, and she became a burden on every project she touched. She died in 1969 in a small London flat with The Times, calling it a tragic end for an American icon. But within the industry, whispers spread it was not tragedy, but the long-delayed price of cruelty toward herself and everyone around her. And just as audiences reeled from Garland's fall, Hollywood faced another revelation, this time from Joan Crawford, whose own daughter would expose a family hell that chilled the world to its core. For Joan Crawford, the screen mother who terrorized her children. Joan Crawford had once been hailed as Hollywood's mother figure with Mildred Pierce, 1945. But in 1978, the world was shaken when her adopted daughter, Christina Crawford, published Mommy Dearest. The memoir ripped the mask off a Brentwood mansion turned nightmare where wire hangers became weapons of punishment. Christina recalled collapsing from exhaustion after being forced to rehang her clothes to perfection. Neighbors claimed they could hear the whip's crack slicing through the thick walls. Her cruelty wasn't confined to family. On the set of Mildred Pierce, she forced co-star Eve Arden to repeat a crying scene until Arden collapsed. As chaos spread across the crew, Crawford calmly reapplied her lipstick. Lavish Beverly Hills parties revealed the same ruthlessness. The Los Angeles Examiner once reported her publicly pointing at actress Mercedes McCambridge, sneering cheap little doll, a remark that crippled McCambridge's career for years. The peak came in 1977 with the reading of Crawford's will. Christina and her brother Christopher were disinherited with the chilling line, "For reasons which are well known to them." Even in death, Crawford left a final scar across her children's hearts. If Crawford instilled terror in her family, her nemesis Bette Davis transformed entire sets into battlegrounds,